For those of us interested in the wearables technology, there have been many exciting movements recently where several wearables have been introduced in the market, some of which are still large and some of which are much smaller. And I'm sure you've heard about it because if you are subscribing to this channel, you're probably interested in those. In our case, we are more interested in bio and neurofeedback type of technologies, and so these devices still don't have it, but the exciting news is that we are getting more and more closer to those technology solutions. For the past few months, I've been myself working on a little solution, and this is going to be starting with a smaller app to see how things are going. And it's not neurofeedback yet, but it's from biofeedback, more specifically heart rates. The problem is that I have had to work with developers, and I found a few on Fiverr, but it's been taking way too long, and it's taking different routes than I anticipated. So by the way, if you are an app developer or you know of someone, please let me know. Either DM me or comment, because I am looking for some people to help me with that, specifically starting with at least one to see how things go, because the way we are going right now is just a lot of back and forth. Anyways, but it is very exciting, and so I think that starting from biofeedback type of technology eventually will be headed into neurofeedback technology. When it comes to neurofeedback technologies, as I'm sure you already know, this channel is specifically more geared towards EEG for various reasons, and that type of neurofeedback, I foresee in the future it's going to be much easier to get it involved with, for example, more and more streamlined applications that your normal consumer would use. Most recently, for example, Emotive launched also head pieces that are designed to gather neurofeedback, EEG. And while those are not in particular friendly for if you're doing a very serious research, they are, however, more consumer friendly. And so I definitely see it in the future for more and more apps to be evolved such that they take those neurofeedback from, for example, small earpieces into different apps. It's going to be a long way to get there, because these devices usually are more expensive for consumers to pay $200-300 for just one device that gathers EEG data. It's not very realistic, at least today. But again, I feel like with VR technology, AR technology, those could be in the future also incorporated. And that is where the exciting parts are, because that is when we can use our knowledge from EEG to incorporate in those applications. And for these reasons, it's very important that you and I still continue with our learning, understanding, and researching the space of EEG data, neurooscillation. Some people call it brain waves or brain frequencies, because the future is very promising when it comes to these type of technologies. A lot of money is needed, and so, for example, even for me, who's trying to create these startups, there's a lot of money involved, and it's kind of hard if you don't have any fundings yet and you're trying to do your bootstrap. Nonetheless, the space is extremely exciting. I'm still teaching EEG. If anybody's interested, you're more than welcome to sign up for those classes. I have gone through a route of teaching it online, but privately, more geared towards specific students. They cost a little bit more, but I noticed that with some students, it's easier for them because they do need a little bit more, sometimes one-on-one, to learn that. And so if you're interested in learning an EEG or how to collect the data using emotive Epoch Neuro headset, along with EEG Lab, which is a free open source software to do your calculations and visualization of the EEG data, hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to share with you more about these classes. So I think that is very important that we continue doing so, because EEG is still kind of not very, I guess, elaborate in the neuroscience area. It's still pretty small in comparison to the. I also wanted to share with you a little bit about the app that I'm working on right now, and that is, as a start, as I mentioned, I'm starting with biofeedback because that technology is already available which has to do with heart rate, but it's not exactly heart rate. It's actually a little bit of a calculation, so it's not just the heart rate. But there are already a lot of research that suggests that, like animals, human beings also have this innate way of kind of knowing what an immediate future holds. For example, a perfect example is when we've seen animals react to earthquakes a few seconds before. And there are some papers and some research that suggests just that. That also exists within human beings. And so there are specific seconds that they have determined that there are specific nuances in terms of heart rate that changes. And I have worked with those papers as well as read all of them. That it's very kind of a very specific type of an algorithm that I've written. And so that is the app that I'm working on. And the app is meant to give the user sort of this extra feedback in regards to their own intuition, to their own sixth sense, as to, like, animals tell them, like, before they make a decision or before something happens, whether that would be a good decision or not. And so that algorithm, based on scientific studies, is designed to return those values. So the algorithm part, actually, I've written, and that was the easier part. To implement it is a little bit, that's the harder part. We also have the design, by the way, the Figma design. But again, if anybody here is an app developer and want to kind of help me towards this end, there are some nuances that we need to still figure out, let me know. I'll be more than happy to collaborate with anybody interested. So that's also another thing I had that I wanted to talk about. Another thing that I wanted to say is that over the course of all these years, when I did my own dissertation, I started teaching what I learned, I made these videos, etc. From time to time, I get comments or respondents where people are asking questions about EEG, which is fantastic, it's great. But I feel like because what we're doing is still a very small portion of the neuroscience, we are still very niche in terms of what we do. But I really want to mention that don't get discouraged because there are not so many of us. In fact, that is one thing that makes me still encouraged to continue with what I'm doing, because I am steadfast in what I think the future of these technical solutions would be when it comes to bio and neurofeedback. That has not changed. It's just that you need fundings to continue, but in terms of the ideas and such, there's no doubt in my mind that that's where we're headed. And for that reason, I continue to work on this sort of on the side. But I really wanted to kind of emphasize that if you're still interested in learning, I highly encourage you to spend that extra money and go learn. If you don't want to take my classes, you can go take other classes. I'm not saying it for this, but I'm just want to make sure that people don't get discouraged because we're not fully mainstream as all the other neuroscience areas. These neurooscillation, for example, in combination with artificial intelligence, as I wrote in my second book, is definitely where we're headed. Whether people want to talk about it or want to, admit it or not, definitely that is a area that nobody can convince me otherwise. And although you don't hear a lot of mainstream media talk about it or mainstream technology, but that's because I feel like this is really sort of way in the future. And yeah. So what I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you are in this field, please don't get discouraged. Continue with what you're doing, and learn more. If you need to sort of invest time and money on that, do it, because it's something that won't go to waste. The future, like 10 years from now, it would be definitely worthwhile. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I will see you guys next time.